When you do PGT on embryos for IVF, the result is not necessarily going to be binary, normal versus abnormal. I'm Dr. Lucky Seekon, double board certified OBGYN and REI, and here's a breakdown of the possible results that you can get on your PGT report and what they all mean. The first possible result is what we all hope for, a Euploid embryo. This is an embryo with the correct amount of DNA, 46 chromosomes or 23 chromosome pairs to be exact. These embryos have the highest chance of implanting and resulting in a successful pregnancy. And while you can never say success is guaranteed, there's about a 70% chance that you could get pregnant. And within 3 successive Euploid transfers, we can usually offer about a 92% rate of live birth. Next, we have an Aneuploid embryo. This is where all of the cells that were taken from the embryo for testing come back showing an incorrect number of chromosomes, either having too many or having missing chromosomes. These embryos are unlikely to implant. If they do implant, they're most likely to result in a miscarriage, or they can lead to genetic conditions like Down syndrome, where there's 3 copies of chromosome 21, to name one example. These are embryos we do not recommend transferring. The next possibility is pretty frustrating when it happens, where you get no results. This is an indeterminate or inconclusive result. This is a situation where you set out to do the genetic testing, but it didn't provide a clear answer. And it can happen due to technical issues with the biopsy process, more likely issues with DNA amplification, because you're working with such small amounts of DNA that sometimes you can't reliably amplify it to analyze it. Now, if this happens, you can consider retesting the embryo. And we actually did a study at our center a long time ago where we looked at embryos that were indeterminate and that eventually were rebiopsied, and found that being indeterminate doesn't mean anything about the embryo's quality. After rebiopsy was done, the rates of abnormality were what you would expect per age for that embryo in patient. If you have an indeterminate embryo, you have options, right? You can say, I'm going to do nothing and just choose to transfer it blindly as if I didn't do PGT at all. But you could also thaw it, rebiopsy it, and refreeze it. Now, that is an additional exposure to the embryo, and according to studies, some show a decrease in implantation rates of up to 20%. In my experience, it's less than that, but it could drop the reproductive potential and thaw survival by a few percentage points. So this is a really individualized decision that is going to be impacted by factors like, what is the chance that this embryo could be abnormal according to the age of the egg that the embryo came from? Or are there other reasons why you really want to get this definitive PGT result? Next, let's talk about mosaic embryos. This is a major source of confusion because this refers to embryos where the biopsy sample had a mix of cells with normal numbers of chromosomes and an abnormal number of chromosomes. We can and we do transfer mosaic embryos, and I have had patients who've had live births from their mosaic embryo transfers. Patients are counseled that mosaic embryos tend to have a lower chance of success, a much lower chance of implantation, and a higher risk of miscarriage. And there can be associated medical issues and risks depending on the chromosome involved and what genes those chromosomes carry. So that's it. Those are the 5 major possible results that you might get on your PGT report. Let me know what questions you have in the comments.
For more info like this, check out The Lucky Egg.